everyone! Now that we're done with Italian vowels, we can move on to consonants. We'll cover the consonants in this video and the next video. I think this video has around 5 consonant sounds that we will cover, and we'll start with a somewhat complex one, which is the ch sound, ch, which is the ch sound. Now this is a pretty simple sound in most other languages because it's usually just spelled ch, but in Italian it's got different spellings. Yes, spellings, not just one spelling. There's a couple different ways to spell it, and also the sound is very prominent in Italian because it comes up often, so it's a very, very important sound, and I'll try to simplify this as much as I can. So let's break this apart in terms of where the sound occurs in the word. First of all, if it's at the beginning of a word, if the ch sound happens at the beginning, the very beginning, it's the first sound you hear, then usually it's going to be a C or a CI or a CI. So C or CI are the only two options if the ch sound happens at the very beginning of the word. Now, how do we know which one to use? Well, first of all, the C is never going to be used if it precedes an A, O, or U sound, because that will make the C hard. It will make it the k sound, and we don't want that. So never, never before A, O, or U. So if you know that the spelling of the next vowel sound is either A, O, or U, don't use a C because then the C will be hard. Use a CI. So CI will be with A, O, or U. And if it's an E or an I, if you know the next vowel sound is an E or an I, like a or a I or a I or a E, either one of those sounds, then spell it with a C. So it's going to be, C is going to be with E or I. So really it all depends on what the next vowel sound is, because according to the rules we cannot have the C be hard. It needs to be soft. Actually, it's not really soft here, it's the ch sound, it's a totally different sound, but we still can't have it hard. So if the next sound, the next vowel sound in the word is E or I, anything spelled with an E or an I, use C. If it's a sound spelled with an A, O, or U, don't use C, use CI instead. And those are the rules governing the ch sound at the beginning of the word. Let's look at some examples. A word with C is cello, something you're familiar with. Here you have an E, so you know you can use a C because it's not an A or U. So cello. And another example is chapino. Chapino, if you know that this is going to be an O sound, or spelled with an O, it's not an O sound, it's a schwa, but if you know it's going to be spelled with an O, you know that this is going to be a CI. You can't have just a C, it makes it capino, not what we want, so CI. So that's how you figure it out if it's at the beginning. Now it's a little bit different if it's in the middle. We'll take a look at that. Okay, so this is just at the beginning, C or CI. Pretty simple to figure out which one it is. If it's in the middle of a word, in the middle, there are actually 4 different options of how to spell it. The first one is C, again, just C. The second one, again, CI. Third one, CC. And the fourth one is CCI. Now you're probably like, whoa, they're so similar, yet, they can totally, they're really different. They're really similar because they all have C's and C and CC and CI and CCI. They all look like they're part of, one big family, but actually they are different, and there are some rules that we can sort of apply with these 4. First of all, the C is again usually going to precede an E. Usually it's going to precede or come before a spelling with an E. An example is concetto, like this, concetto. So if you have an E sound, it could be a C. Another thing is also CC is going to precede an E. So this also usually precedes E. Precedes E. So again, if you know that the next vowel sound is or e, your only two options are c and cc, and at that point you would just have to know the word. Example is fettuccine. Fettuccine. See here you have two c's because the next sound is eh. Here one c, the next sound is eh. So if you have an s sound or e sound, anything that's spelled with an e, really your best options are c and cc. Now ci in the middle of words, somewhat rare actually. You won't see it too much. So the best thing to do would be to learn all the Italian words with ci. You could do a search on the CD-ROM because it's somewhat rare. You're not going to run into that too often in the middle of words. The beginning, yes, but not the middle. I mean, you might, but not too much. Example is cacio cavallo. Cacio, see right there? Cacio cavallo. And the same rule applies as before, that this can't be just a C or a CC because we have an O sound, or an O, the spelling is O. So we can't have a C or a CC in this place because that would make the C soft, or it would make the C hard, sorry. It would be cavallo, which is again not what we want. So if there's an O spelling in the word, or an A spelling, or a U spelling, use CCI or CCI. At that point, C and CC are sort of out of the question. They're not even, they can't work in that case. So if there's an O, A, or U, use CI or CCI. Now remember, CI is somewhat rare, so in that case, CCI would be your best option. Again, CCI, it includes CC because CC is in it, so we can write that. It includes CC, but CCI, usually happens before A and O. So usually before or preceding an A spelling or an O spelling, A or O. Examples are mostaccioli, mostaccioli. Here the CCI is before the O. And another example is focaccia. Focaccia. Again, here it's behind, the A, CCIA. So before A's and O's, it's very common. And what I mean by CC is that really the CC is in the CCI, but it's a totally different sound. This is fettuccine. It's going to be with an E, but this one's usually going to be with A's and O's, and that's why we have that I. So essentially, CCI includes both CC, because you have it right here, and it also includes CI, which you have right here. So that's a little maybe confusing point, but just remember, essentially, you would just have to know the word in these cases. If it's an E, really C and CC, best option. Any other vowel sound, A, O, or U, it's going to be CI or CCI. You're never going to really have an I sound, spelling with an I after, because that's sort of part of this, and I hope that's clear. Really, this is one of those complex sounds in Italian. There's several ways to spell the certain sound, but once you spend time, a little bit of time with the words, you'll be good to go. You'll recognize which one it is. So if you're a little confused on this, just look at these rules again. Try to figure out which vowels go with which spelling, because that really helps. In some cases, if you know certain Latin roots in the words, that will help. And yeah, like I said, if you spend some time with words with this sound, you could figure it out. Also, you could always do the searches on the CD-ROMs to learn, each word with each of these spellings, and that's probably the best way to go. So that covers the ch sound. Okay, and now we're going to move on to something not so complex, thankfully. The next sound is the f sound, the F sound, like this. It's pronounced f, and the rule in Italian is that usually it's going to be just an F, usually just an F, but it could be FF, could be FF. Now remember, this is definitely more common, just the F. So let's write that, more common. Now, I did a search on my CD-ROM for all the Italian words with FF. First of all, there were very, very few, and most of them had alternate spelling, so you don't have to worry about those, too much. So again, you could always do the same search. There's really, really few words, not a lot, with FF. Once you learn those, everything else is going to be an F. Also, at the beginnings of words, if you hear the F at the beginning, the F sound, it's going to be an F for sure. So, for sure at beginning, because it can't be FF. That doesn't look right. So the beginning it's going to be F for sure. In the middle, most likely it's going to be an F. You should just learn the words with FF, and then you'll be good to go. Examples are gonfalonier, gonfalonier. See F right there. Example with FF is giraffe, giraffe. It's an Italian word, also it's Arabic, but see, there you have FF, so giraffe. So FF, not common at all. Just learn the words with FF in Italian. There aren't that many. And then once you have those down, everything else is going to be an F, okay? Pretty simple. And our next sound we're going to look at is the G sound, which is hard G, hard G. So it's just G, like this, hard G. And the rule in Italian for this is somewhat similar. It's mostly going to be a G, just a G, mostly a G. Again, at the beginning for sure. So at beginning for sure, because the next option, which we will see, cannot be at the beginning. So if it's at the beginning for sure, just use a G for the G sound. The other option, it could be a GH. Could be GH. In Italian. Again, I did a search on my CD-ROM of all the Italian words with GH. Again, there are very, very few. It'd be best for you to learn those, and then everything else would be a G for sure for the G sound. Example is magnifico. See how the Latin roots can help too. Here you probably see the root magno in Latin. So, or like from magnificent, certain cognate words that would help you, realize that this is just a G. So that can help too, but really there aren't that many words with GH, so shouldn't be a problem. Example is spaghetti, another food word, which we're probably familiar with, spaghetti, GH there. So not a lot of GH words, learn those, and then you can be sure that everything else will be a G. If it's at the beginning, it's going to be a G for sure. Okay, so that's that for the G sound. And now we're going to move on to the J sound, the soft G sound, J, which is written as J. And the pronunciation is just J. Okay, in Italian, this one isn't as simple as the other ones. There's actually 3 ways to spell this. Let's look at each one of them. The first one is just a G. Second one is GI, and the third one is GGI. Should look familiar. It's almost like the ch sound. Okay, so first of all, let's see where each spelling is going to be used in terms of where the sound is. If it's at the beginning, you're never going to have GGI. So never at the beginning. Never at beginning. And if you think about it, that doesn't look logical at all. The GGI at the beginning of a word just looks ridiculous. So no GGI at the beginning. However, G and GI are good options for the beginning. Again, just like the ch sound, the G is only going to precede an E. So only going to precede or come before the spelling E, because if it's anything else, it'll make this G hard. Now, yes, I won't make it, the letter I won't make it hard, but GI is spelling altogether, so we don't have to worry about I. So it's only going to precede an E. If A, O, or U, it's going to be GI. If A, O, U. And this is just like the ch sound, which we saw at the beginning of this video. So really, it all depends on the next vowel sound. Some examples are gelato. See, there's an E, so we can use the G for sure. Example with GI is jocoso. Jocoso. See, now here you couldn't use the G because that would make it gokoso. So we have to use GI, and there's an O there. And again, you're never going to have GGI at the beginning uh, of Italian words, actually any word. So these are the rules for the beginning. If the just sound happens at the beginning of words, in the middle, DGI only has like 10 words. So only like, I think it's only like 10 words. Again, you can do the search on the CD-ROM. 10 words in middle, so we don't have to worry about that too often. Example is villeggiatura. 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 Here we have GGI. Very, very few words with GGI in the middle. Again, the next two options are G and GI, and the same rules apply. This is only going to precede E. Let me write that. Only precede the spelling E, and this will precede, again, A, O, U. Again, we don't have to worry about the I because it's already in there. Examples, I'll just do one for this. Parmigiana is the example. Parmigiana. See, because there's an A there, and we know that's going to be an A, because it's the ah sound, we know that this is going to be a GI. It can't be a G, it would make it Parmigiana. Again, not what we want. So it really all depends on the next vowel sound. Regarding GGI, it's not common at all, very rare, so best to learn those words, and then you can rely on those vowel patterns and vowel rules to figure out if it's a G or a GI, both in the beginning and in the middle. Okay, so that's that for the just sound, and we have one more sound to cover, which is the L sound, la, la. Now again, this is a common sound in Italian, so let's take a look at it. So this is just written as L. Here, let me make this better. Just like this, it's L. It's pronounced la, la. And we're going to break this up into beginning and middle. If it's in the beginning, it's going to be just an L. Okay, and that's it. It can't be anything else. So if it's the beginning of a word, it's going to be just an L. You know that there's a lot of words starting with L that are Italian. Okay, so we'll look at some examples soon. Let's talk about the next rule. If it's in the middle of the word, it's going to be either an L or a GL. L or a GL. Now, the thing is that there are some rules to help us figure out when it's going to be a GL. GL is usually going to be before a Y sound. Usually precede a Y sound, and we'll see some examples. Usually that's spelled IA or IO. Let me write that again. Usually that sound, the Y sound is usually spelled in Italian IA or IO. So, you know, we don't have to worry about this too much because if we ever hear the Y sound, we can almost be sure that it's going to be GL. Also, there's only like 20 words anyways that have GL in Italian, so again, it's very rare, so it'd be best to learn those words, and once you learn those, everything else is going to be an L. So really, GL, if you have no idea and you don't know the words, those 20 words about, if you hear the Y sound right after the L sound, most likely it's going to be a GL, otherwise it's going to be an L. So let's look at some examples now. With L at the beginning, there's a lot of words starting with L. An example is larghissimo. Larghissimo. It's always going to be L at the beginning for the la sound, always. In the middle, GL usually going to precede the Y sound, like bisbigliando. Bisbigliando. See, there's that IA. It makes the Y sound, and that's why we have a GL. Bisbigliando. Yondo, so bisbigliando. And also bardilio. Bardilio. we have a yo sound there, the ya sound, and that's why we have I-O, and that's why we have GL before that. So GL going to be before the ya. Otherwise, it's going to be just an L, like coloratura, coloratura. Now again, those Latin roots can help, like in this word, literally it means coloring, comes from Latin. So if you recognize that, or the English counterpart color, that's another way to figure it out, but it should be pretty simple on, how to figure this out. Again, like I said, there's only like 20 words in Italian with GL, so that's another way to eliminate that as a choice. Just learn those words. Everything else is going to be an L for the middle and the beginning. Okay, so this concludes our 5 first consonant sounds, and in the next video, we'll take a look at the rest.